Welcome to Motion to Adjourn, the podcast about the work that continues with the Birmingham City Council, beyond what happens on Tuesdays during council meeting.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Or in the committee meeting.
Aye.
After the official motion to adjourn, the councilors continue work on behalf of the city and its residents. Welcome to the Motion to Adjourn podcast. I am your host, Anaya Kenyon. I serve as project manager for the Birmingham City Council. Today, we're diving into some of the most significant items that were mentioned during Tuesday's council meeting. On Tuesday, the council approved an ordinance updating the city's code to reflect recent changes made by the state of Alabama regarding consumer use tax remittance. As part of this alignment with state regulations, the city will discontinue the timely remittance discount, which was previously capped at $400 for eligible businesses. For context, consumer use tax applies when an item is shipped and the vendor does not collect sales tax at the time of purchase, requiring the consumer to remit the tax instead. This amendment ensures that all Birmingham businesses operate under uniform, state-aligned tax guidelines. The council approved a $3.5 million agreement with Small Magic to support educational enrichment services and strengthen literacy outcomes for young children. This investment comes from the city's $38 million budget surplus announced earlier this year. Small Magic's early learning programs help prepare children ages 5 and under to be school ready when they enter kindergarten. Over the past 8 years, the organization has expanded its reach from serving 90 children annually to roughly 1,500 in 2025. The new funding will allow Small Magic to further grow its impact and broaden the scope of its services. As part of Small Magic's literacy initiative, families receive a wearable device that tracks how many words children hear each day, generating data that supports targeted learning strategies. The additional funding will build on this model by introducing 3 new family programs, including training for expecting parents in partnership with UAB and expanded reading initiatives. A portion of the investment will also improve child care facilities across the city, where 87% currently hold 1 or fewer stars under the state's 1 to 5 star rating system. Many facilities lack resources for items like playground equipment, books, and toys. Families interested in enrolling can learn more at smallmagic.org. Again, that's smallmagic.org. The Birmingham City Council has scheduled a public hearing for the Pratt-Inslee Framework Plan on Tuesday, September 22nd during the council meeting at 9:30 a.m. To view the full Pratt-Inslee Framework Plan, visit birminghamal.gov. Again, that's birminghamal.gov. A public hearing for the Southern Area Framework Plan is scheduled for next Tuesday, August 18th, during the City Council meeting at 9:30 a.m. Residents will have multiple opportunities to learn about the proposal, ask questions, and share feedback before the Council considers the rezoning. If you would like to learn more about the proposal, join us for a community information meeting happening Thursday, August 13th at 3:30 p.m. at Avondale Library, along with the community question drop-in hours that happens Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Birmingham City Hall on the 5th floor. And last but not least, please attend the City Council public hearing on Tuesday, August 18th at 9:30 a.m. at City Hall on the 3rd floor in the council chambers.
Welcome to Motion to Adjourn, the official podcast of the Birmingham City Council. We're breaking down council meetings, city services, community projects, and the voices shaping our future. If you want to know what's really happening in Birmingham, this is your spot.
Welcome to another episode of the Motion to Adjourn podcast, where we bring you closer to the decisions shaping our city. Today, we're giving you an insider's look at the FY 2027 city budget, how it works, what's funded, and what these investments mean for you, your neighborhood, and the future of Birmingham. We're joined by Council President Wardine Alexander and Councilor Clinton Woods, Chair of the Budget and Finance Committee. From major neighborhood revitalization efforts to youth-focused programs and support for unhoused residents, this episode breaks down the numbers, the strategy, and the impact in a way that's easy to understand and directly connected to everyday life in our city. Let's dive into how your tax dollars are being put to work to build a stronger, safer, and more vibrant Birmingham.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Another year going into the FY27 budget. First of all, thanks for having us here in the studio. Great opportunity just to share information with our residents. But we recently completed the FY27 budget. Went through a pretty good process, and as always, trying to figure out how to get the most out of the dollars we project to have and solve as many problems as we can for residents. And so we got myself along with President Wardine Alexander in the studio, gave me the clearance to just ask some questions. And so we're going to dive in and get some perspective just on this process and how things went. So I do want to talk about street paving. And so there was a $12 million allocation for street paving. What can residents expect to see out of that $12 million?
Well, thank you for this opportunity to discuss the budget. Very excited that we did recently approve it and what these funds will mean for our communities. I'm very excited to talk about street paving. And if we think, how can you be excited about street paving? Well, we know how important it is that we move to and from our homes, trying to get to our work, our play, and our different appointments that we have. And so we all want a smooth ride, and that means in having smooth streets. And this particular $12 million allocation out of the FY27 budget, I think it's important for residents to know what happens when those streets get listed as part of the paving process for that particular fiscal year. First of all, there's a criteria that's used to select streets. We're looking at the number of cars that ride in that area, the current condition of that street, the last time that street was paved. So it's not as if we just throw these street names up in a hat and then they appear on that list that you see, and you're waiting with bated breath every year to find out what streets are going to be paved in my neighborhood. So I really want residents to know that there is a criteria or a rubric that's used. Also, we took a lot of the political steps out of this. You just shouldn't get a street paved because it's in this particular district or I represent that district. And so that's why I'm very excited for how BDOT and PEP, they use that rubric or they use that criteria to select streets. Also, I'd like for residents to also know that even though we have approved these number of streets that are going to be paved, there's a timeline when we start talking about resurfacing projects. Really, the weather plays a big impact on when they can pave, and there's a window of time that you can actually pave streets. So as excited as you may be to see your street on that selection, I do also want residents to know that there's a timeline and that a lot of it is weather driven as to how we have to go out and we have to put out an RFP for those companies that are going to pave the streets. Then we go through that process. And so what you'll see coming before us as a council, not only have we approved the budget, but then you'll begin to see those companies that are going to actually do the paving for us. Why is investing in street quality so important? It not only supports the safety of that neighborhood, but it also supports businesses that will be coming to that neighborhood. When I moved back into the city of Birmingham almost 20 years ago, one of the first things that I had to face was my insurance cost, and that was based on the safety, crime that was going on in the city, as well as the condition of our streets. So it impacts us quite a lot. So I hope residents will really look for this $12 million investment as one that can improve our neighborhoods and that they can see some realization of that as well.
No, that's good. I think that is definitely one of the biggest things residents talk about. Mm-hmm. And so glad to see that there's $12 million in a plan. So.
I like that. Well, listen, let me give a chance to ask you a couple of questions. Again, Councilor Woods, I was so excited to have the opportunity to give you the opportunity to be the chairman of the Budget and Finance Committee. I think your background, it just made it sort of perfect fit. I know you work in construction and have been a resident of the city of Birmingham, so you're always looking at the bottom line and the dollars, and I think you help us with our fiduciary responsibility and where we're putting that money. So thank you for taking advantage of the opportunity to lead us on the Budget and Finance Committee. I'd like for listeners, let's kind of walk them through the overall FY27 budget and explain a little bit like how do we get there?
All right, well, yeah, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. I've really enjoyed diving into the numbers in budget and finance. But as we look here at a budget, we're talking FY27 this year, and our budgets are based on projections. And so we are looking at what it last year looked like, what is the market doing, what do we project out in terms of the next 12 months for FY27 in terms of how much money we'll have, how much revenue we'll bring in. What we had is a $615 million budget projection, and so we operate on a zero-based budget here where we try to budget out every dollar that we expect to come in. And so that process is often ongoing all year round. Departments are always assessing what they need, what they project to need in the upcoming year, and they will make their own budget request. And so they make those requests to the administration. They present that to the council and the administration, and so we're looking to see what they're asking for, how big of a priority is what they're asking for, because at the end of the day, there are way more needs than money. And so our job is always to figure out how do we address the most problems with the money that we do project to have. And so, but departments will individually present that information to the administration, to the mayor's team, and the council will also lift up their priorities, things they want to see. We have 9 councilors here. They are all on the ground in their various districts throughout the city, so they have very good firsthand information on what people are asking for, what people want to see. And so all that comes together in the mayor's initial budget proposal. And so he'll make a budget presentation to provide his budget proposal, his budget request to the council, and then that begins the conversation around getting feedback from the public. Are there changes? Are there tweaks that need to be made? How does everybody feel about this? And so I've been here, I want to say this is my 8th budget. And so we've gotten a good feel for it at this point. And so we're always, even now, thinking ahead to kind of make that process go as smooth as possible. The goal is to have the budget passed before July 1. That is our budget year, and that will allow the new budget to go into effect. If it doesn't happen, then you will continue operating off the old budget. That would keep you going, but could create some issues and limitations with the things that you want to see going forward. And so very fortunate being able to continue investing in things like street paving, infrastructure. We really want to invest in our employees here and ensure that Birmingham is a good place to work. And they're often the front face of the city. And oftentimes you're interacting with the city, you're interacting with the city employee. And so those interactions matter. That often colors how you feel about the city. But happy to say FY27 budget passed on time, and I feel like we were able to strike a pretty good balance on what needed to be done and how we funded things.
Well, I want to thank you, Councilor Woods, again for leading us through that process for this particular fiscal year. And I really want to also compliment our councilors who really did the work. They did the homework to be sure that this process, a lot of people think that when we go and make the vote, that we're just being given a yes vote, and we haven't worked out things and talked with the mayor and talked among ourselves as councilors to ensure that this budget meets the needs of our citizens. So I want to thank you for explaining some of that process and letting people know what happens in the background. So thank you again for that.
No, that's important. I think one of the things we see when we talk Birmingham, we talk community, the next generation is so important. We've been very fortunate. We've worked hard, invested in public safety. We've seen crime come down. And so now it's time to get into more of a proactive footing. And so I want to talk about initiative and some investments that were included in this budget concerning what we call the Cradle to Career Pipeline. Cradle to Career Pipeline. So I want to ask you, why is it so important to really have a youth-centric focus as we're investing and considering investing money?
Well, thanks for that question, and thanks for giving me an opportunity to talk about this portion of the budget. Hopefully everyone remembers that I did serve on the school board, so I have a keen interest in doing that work in what we're doing as a city to ensure that our students are prepared for life after high school, elementary school, and that they have the tools that they need to be good, productive citizens. So also, another reason that I'm youth focused is that also our children are our future. And so the better equipped that our children are from this cradle to career, that's just not a catchphrase for me. It's really a focus that we should have in not only in city government, but throughout all of the things that we do as a city to want to perpetuate that. And for me, it's also important. I have a granddaughter that's in college, and she attends college outside of Alabama. I want her to come back to Birmingham. I think that's a great place to live, as well as those children who also live in the city of Birmingham. So what do we do? What do we invest in here with this particular FY27 budget? One of those is $2 million for Birmingham Promise. What a great and wonderful program, and I think you've seen it. We all have interns that we work with where we help these students, and so this gives them not only an opportunity to thrive in school, but to also go out and get some real work out there. And it also helps them to pay their tuition. It helps families where they can make college affordable. We also get a lot of times where people are asking, well, what's the investment that the city makes to our Birmingham City schools? So in addition to the $2 million for Birmingham Promise, we also have mental health programs and financial literacy curriculums that we have that the city sponsors. And I'm very excited for a program I know that's in all of our 7 high schools. And this not only talks about financial literacy for the student, but it also encompasses a piece for the families. And so I remember when I went to college way back in the olden days, and that's the first time sometimes you're introduced to credit, and you got to make options about credit and how to protect your credit. And so now you don't learn just the day you graduate from high school. Now you have these tools with you that you're learning throughout your time in high school and middle school. Also preparing young residents for long-term economic mobility. We're very excited. I know you joined. We had unanimous consent where we're continuing to invest in the city of Birmingham. We have an opportunity to give about $40 million to Birmingham City schools where they're going to have this career tech program.
$40 million.
40 million with an M, as Kay Ivy says. So I'm talking about 40M with an M. And so this is really where we're going to be preparing our students, even through something like that, for long-term economic mobility. And then we also are partnering with different organizations where we are connection between youth programs and violence prevention. And I'm very excited. My dad was a coach, and my son played Little League. And I know how that was often had difficulty. You were out there trying to get monies from residents and different businesses, and I'm just very happy about the investment we've done with our youth, where you can go through a program that's sponsored by the city of Birmingham, and so now you're concentrating on that sports activity versus trying to raise money. So just those small things, and I think they're not very small, but a huge investment that we make in our youth.
Yeah, no, I think that's significant. I think at the end of the day, we want to see our young people come up, thrive, have something for everybody. That is definitely the best way to keep everybody on the right track and having a plan for the future. So money well spent.
Very good, very good. And again, when you think about where we are, different, you have 2 that just started school this week. And what's the oldest?
Man, I got an 8-year-old and a 7-year-old, and we're glad to have school back started. So go forth and learn.
And on the other hand, I have my granddaughter who's be driving off for her last year of college, we're hoping. So, but just we saw how we all have different things that we're thinking about during this school year, but we know the importance, whether it's young children or our children that are in college. We want to, again, be sure that they thrive and they thrive well through support of the Birmingham City.
100%.
Wonderful. Well, let's focus a little bit more now on another piece of the budget, and that's neighborhood revitalization. And of course, that was a major focus for us this year. So talk a little bit about how the council prioritized the $19 million that's gone into community revitalization.
Right. Wow. So this is a major topic. This is probably the source of, as a city councilor, most of your phone calls are going to come around neighborhood issues. That's your street paving. That's your sidewalks. That's grass being cut on the right of ways. That could be grass being cut on private property. Different issues that exist in the community. That could be speeding. So different things you see that affect people's day-to-day life typically falls in this category. And so our biggest piece of the puzzle in this space was street paving, and so that was much needed. So that $12 million investment is going to go a long way to continue our commitment to street paving going forward that we've seen over the past few years. So excited about that. You also talk about sidewalks. Like people want either sidewalks repaired, people want sidewalks in places where sidewalks don't exist. We talk about storm drainage, different ditches. But one thing that here is a central issue And it is something to put on the radar. So how we deal with private property. So now through a lot of resident complaints and things like that, the city does have a process where we will cut the grass or condemn and tear down homes on private property. And so those are dollars being spent to basically take care of a property where there is an absentee property owner. They own the property, they won't sell it, they won't transfer to someone, but they don't take care of it. And so that becomes a nuisance and a problem in the community. So we have in the past been just dealing with that issue by cutting the grass. The state legislature did give us some more teeth to work with, and so we do have to start considering things around, we can foreclose on a municipal lien. That's a lot to think about, but, taking a property back and ensuring that it's in the hands of someone who wants to take care of it. And so where we did make that investment this year and continuing to do those things, putting millions of dollars into cutting the grass or dealing with issues on private property is not the best use of that. So we have to figure out how to balance resident expectations with what's been done in the past over and over again, with getting those dollars into a place that will see a longer lasting benefit. And for instance, I want to start having a conversation around, what does it look like to invest some of that money in building new houses and renovating houses, partnering with the land bank, community development. And so those are hard conversations on the horizon, but this year we did kind of continue what we were doing, but I think we're all becoming clearer and clearer that we've got to figure out how to solve this issue. And so the state did give us some tools in the toolbox to work with, but this piece is very key. I think a last note that's worth mentioning is our investment in what we call traffic calming. And so those are your speed cushions. That has been a very popular program, and we've continued investing in that year after year. But really excited. I think this was overall a relatively smooth budget. I think you never get everything done that you want to get done, but I think we did get a lot of big ticket items covered. We got a lot of programming started, and I think we're on the way to continuing to build on our past success around significant investments in public safety and education have led to really shifts in our metrics. I think the city is becoming what we can call a safer city. I think the education system is really thriving, and so we got to continue to build that perception. But really excited about it. So, anytime anybody wants to talk budget or numbers, let me know. Like I said, we're going to get down to the bottom line, but it is important because every dollar we save, every dollar we efficiently use, we can put that towards another need that the city has. And so make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing to the podcast. We want to keep you in and informed, and make sure you share with somebody.
Well, thank you, Councilor Woods. Again, it's been so exciting for us to have this opportunity to talk about the budget. I know many people don't get as excited about a budget as you and I do. And I also give a shout out to our fellow council member Smitherman, who is a member of the Budget and Finance Committee, as well as all of our colleagues. So thank you again for the work that you do. And thank you for reminding residents that they can stay connected to this. We don't want this to be the last discussion about the budget. And so they can go on the website, they can attend neighborhood meetings, they can call our office. All that information is available to you and to them. So thank you again.
Very welcome. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
That wraps up today's conversation on the FY 2027 Birmingham City Budget. A huge thank you to Council President Wardine Alexander and Councilor Clinton Woods for sharing their insight and helping us understand the real meaning behind these investments. If you're a Birmingham resident, remember your voice matters in shaping future budgets and priorities. Stay connected, attend community meetings, reach out to your council representatives, and keep an eye on progress happening in your neighborhood. We hope today's episode gave you clarity, context, and confidence in how the budget supports the people and the places that make Birmingham home. Did you know that the Birmingham City Council has a Roku channel? Missed a council meeting or a committee meeting and you want to stay up to date? Check us out on Roku at Birmingham City Council for all updates in your city. Here are some updates and upcoming events that you should know about. Hello, District 8 residents. Join Councilor Sonia Smith and District 55 State Rep Travis Hendricks for a joint town hall meeting to discuss recent accomplishments and future priorities for our community. Happening Tuesday, August 18th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Sardis Missionary Baptist Church. Come hear directly from your city and state representatives, ask questions, and share your perspective as we work together to keep building a strong District 8. All community members are welcome. Mark your calendar and bring a neighbor. Thanks for listening to Motion to Adjourn. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast to learn more about your city and local government. Also, follow us on our socials on Instagram and Facebook at City Council BHAM. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.